gonna be honest with you, science is boring. But not
Thank
here.
you for joining ClinArk Talks. Today I have Chris Petek. Hopefully I didn't butcher it. Chris agreed to speak today. I'm very fortunate. We can go ahead and just dive into what you do, what company you work for, all that good stuff. I'll let you give your background, your story, how you got to where you are and whatnot. So just give everyone the backstory.
Yes, well, hello. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Christopher Petek. I am currently the vice president and co-founder of the Clinical Trials Network. We're a trial management company that's focused on, providing private practice physicians the ability to get involved with clinical trials. And so we do so by providing kind of that administrative backing for them to get involved with the trials, provide them any equipment they need, and kind of eliminate those obstacles for them to get involved with the trial. So we have a data compliance department, we have a regulatory department, we have a operations department, logistics, business development, financial management, et cetera. So, our physicians themselves really focus on, the clinical aspects of the trial as well as continuation of care, which is why we focus mainly on community physicians that are a little bit outside of the city. Like our home base is about 30 minutes outside of downtown Cleveland. So, we're looking for those patients who are in, more rural areas, who are, maybe low income, low education, who don't have the ability or the means to get to the cities where these trials are taking place to get access to these medications. And so that's really why we pick kind of our strategic locations to be able to offer patients the ability to get into these trials.
Nice. So basically you're essentially trying to provide, access to people through your business model. That's nice. I like that. That is really cool. So what, in your current role, what do you do? Just like in terms of just what you do, what are the types of things that you tackle on a daily basis?
So for me, I have pretty much two client bases. So I work with, the sponsors and pharma companies in kind of one bucket, and then physicians in another. So from my standpoint, I am meeting with the heads up at the pharma companies and the CROs to find out what pipelines are out there. Right now, we have we have 4 networks that are very specialized. We do, our teams work in those specialties only. We have a GI division, an ophtho division, a gastroenterology division, and a allergy immunology. So I'll meet with the pharma companies to get access to those trials for our investigators to get into those trials first, or to, we're the network that's always called for rescue sites to say, hey, we need some additional sites. Can you help us open very quickly? And they know that, our sites are going to be high enrollment, and they're going to be able to get into these trials pretty quickly with low issues. The other client base we really have is physicians. So, on a daily basis, reaching out to private practice physicians around the country and, trying to get them excited about research as much as we are. Our big goal of our company is really, we like to say that we're a community of sites working together to push these drugs to market. And so, as we kind of leverage our networks, like for example, our biggest network is our gastroenterology division. We have 185 gastroenterologists that work together with us. So we really have a lot of say in the industry on which trials we feel are, we're liking what we're seeing from the early phase trials and putting our efforts in to get those products to market as quick as possible. So, it's a lot of kind of convincing physicians to get involved and getting, trials to get these physicians into the studies.
Do you all have any experience with, this is just I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with NASH?
We do. Yep. So we work with, all across the spectrum. So from colorectal cancer to NASH to IBD, IBS, celiac GERD, and our GI division, we're, and all of our divisions, we're across the gamut for each of those specialties.
And in terms of your sites and their location, are they just in Ohio, or are they like what?
No, so we are across the country. So we're as far up as Washington, as down as Florida, and everywhere in between.
Oh man.
Yeah,
oh,
so we're up to 50 locations right now in our network, and our goal is 360 by the time we're finished. So we've been around for about 2.5 years at this point, and we're just trying to continue.
You've been busy.
Yes.
That's
where this gray hair is coming in from already.
You've been busy. Wow, that's impressive. That is very.
Thank you.
I like that. So what? what is your company trying to do to, you know, really push the industry forward in terms of your model? Like, what is, you know, what are you, you know, I know you all are trying to expand to different sites, but what is like that thing that's driving your company to, you know, change the industry or whatever it is?
So for us, it's really getting access to the patient populations that are really, one, underrepresented in trials,
Mhm.
and two, that don't have, there's patients out there who, maybe they're uninsured or maybe they've tried four different, forms of a biologic that's available, but there's a new formulation and a new mechanism of action that's out there that would really help these patients. But otherwise, maybe they don't have the ability to, to come out on a regular interval in a protocol, for 45 minutes away to get to the city. And so for us, the reason we target private practices is because there is a lot of stigma of being a lab rat and getting involved in a clinical trial where, you say, okay, you want to be in this trial, but you have to go see a different doctor that you don't know with a
It's
different
scary,
set
yeah.
of people. And so for us, it's, that continuation of care. We want those, patients to stay with those physicians in those practices and those physicians to be able to continue that, that doctor-patient relationship that they've already built over the years that they've been in that practice, whether they're following a clinical protocol or a research protocol. And then, getting physicians just as excited as we are to kind of get these drugs approved to market, or, knowing that we're making a difference on the back end of things, where, when you get new drugs out there, you're pushing current drug prices down because there's more competition in the arena. And then there's also, the ability to offer new pathways out there for patients who are struggling, or, we do a lot of biomarker studies. So, in order to get those blood panels, expanded so that we can catch these things sooner and, help, patient lives in the future. So that's what gets us very excited.
That I love that. I love that. So I guess my next question would be for you. So what, you know, I know for me, you know, what drives me is it's along the lines of what your company, what drives your company. For me, you know, I've always been big on trying to get access to people. You know, especially in underserved communities, because I did grow up in community. You know, I've experienced it. I know what it looks like. So for me, you know, I know how important that is, but I also know where, you know, I know how much, you know, fear exists in those communities. So I guess my question for you would be just personally, like what pushes you? What makes you wake up every day like, yes, you know, I want to do it. I want to, you know, because I know in clinical research, some days you wake up just like, huh, here we go.
Yeah, I have more of those days than I would like to admit. That's for sure. For me, what gets me very excited is, like for example, with EOE, eosinophilic esophagitis, there's nothing on the market that's available for it. We have patients who will come into some of our sites that, they're afraid to go out to eat to a restaurant because they're afraid that they're going to get something stuck. And we have currently across our network 100 patients involved in these trials right now. And we're seeing, our feedback from our sites that, they're doing well and these patients' lifestyles are changed. That makes me excited. Knowing that there are a lot of, research sites out there and people who get involved with clinical trials more for the money aspect of it. And they don't really care about that, continuation of care, that these are not lab rats, that these are people that we're
Yes.
putting into these trials. Knowing when I talk with our compliance team and, that we're doing well, that our deviations that we're having are minor. They're not major deviations, that we're not putting patients at harm. And, we're enrolling a high volume of patients to put these trials, forward, but we're doing it safely. Those are the areas that get me very excited. And, the ability to kind of conquer a new space. I really like when we do open up a new division where it's an area that I have no idea what it's about. And I learn what these indications are that affect this area, and who the sponsors are and what these physicians think like. And that's what I really like, is always there's a new challenge every
Oh
time we
yeah.
open up a new area.
Oh yeah. No, I you know, I love that. I love that. I think in my space, you know, it's I like the challenge, and I think that's what drives me too. You know, just being able to solve problems that, you know, help people in the long run. I think for me that's, you know, that's what gets me excited, because, you know, you do have those days where it's like, man, it's gonna be a tough one. You could just see it before you get there.
Yeah.
You're like, I know it. I know this is gonna be a crazy day. But I think conversations like these are important to have, and for the communities to see, because they do need to see that we're people too. You know, we have
Yes.
bad days at work. You know, when you all decide to say no to the clinical trials, it sucks on our end.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, you know, that's our bad day. But it's not. You know, what I'm trying to do with these talks is, you know, get the community to see what different organizations exist and how they're trying to really you know, help people, because, you know, behind closed doors, we're just all trying to help people, you know,
Yep.
and I think that that's important at a time like this for individuals to see. So, you know, I love the work that you all are doing, and I think it's very important. So
Thank you.
my next question, my next question would be, in the next 10 to 15 years, where do you see clinical research going? I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, AI, or, you know, they say other things, you know, so where do you think it's going to head? I know decentralized trials is kind of big right now.
Yes. So I would say personally for me, I see kind of our model, and there's other networks, not saying that we're the only network out there, obviously, but I see consolidation of sites working together as the future of research. I think we're seeing this kind of across the board with all of our IRBs consolidating, all of our CROs consolidating, but really the area that's not extremely unified are sites. So everyone else is pretty unified in kind of what they're doing, but research sites aren't. And I think that's the next trend that you're going to see, is that, you know, first it was the CROs and then the IRBs followed suit. And now I think the sites will too. And that's kind of what we're trying to be on that curve for is, you know, I think there's a lot of areas where sites, you know, they don't know what they don't know. When, you know, you've got one research site working on their own, they're very isolated, and a CRO tells them, you know, this is a way a trial should be run, or this is the way that you should be doing it. It doesn't mean that it's the right way if the CRO's, you know, giving you this guidance. Sites, I think a lot of times, because they are so individualized, they don't understand the voice that they have, and that the power that they have over the studies that they're running themselves, that at the end of the day, it's your reputation of what happens in those studies. So I think consolidation of sites and working together through centralized hubs like we do, where we have kind of a centralized regulatory team, a centralized compliance team that's, you know, overseeing, you know, bringing comments and issues and concerns that we're seeing in all areas of the country together to, you know, make all of our sites better through that continuous education. I think that's kind of the next step in research personally.
Absolutely.
I don't see AI coming in yet. I don't think you're ever going to be able to eliminate that human-to-human interaction, because I think patients are already apprehensive enough to get into clinical trials, so they're not going to want to do it when it's a robot trying to get them in.
Right. And that's always been my outlook, in terms of trust, because it's like I always put myself in the person's shoes. And, you know, if I'm this person that doesn't trust me or trust something, and I have a
Yeah.
I have a something talking to me that's not a person, that doesn't, you know, that's not going to do anything for me. So you know, we have to understand that we cannot remove the face-to-face interaction. That's something that has to exist. Whether it's like sending someone to the individual's house to talk to them, I don't know, but
Yeah.
we have to maintain that face-to-face interaction, because, you know, it's only going to help us improve trust as we go. And I don't think trust is something that's we're not going to find some magic number for it that we're able to, you know, use it to solve all the problems. But I think over time, as we get to bring more perspectives into the industry, as we get to, you know, show people what we're doing, you know, the work that we're trying to do, I think it'll work out. But again, it takes time.
Yep.
You know, and I love what you all are trying to do. I appreciate you actually, you know, taking the time to join and share your thoughts and your, you know, background and all that good stuff about your company. It's truly needed, and I look forward to sharing it with the community.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very
No,
much.
thank you so much. And